Welcome to Mindful Mondays. It is Monday night, and I typically do these at night because it's Monday night and it's wind down time. Normally, during the week when kids are in school, we're busy. And so I know a lot of times at night, for some of us to relax, we're scrolling on our phone. We on YouTube looking at something. We on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitch, all the things. Okay, X, Twitter, whatever. So I like to do Mindful Mondays at night. And the last time I did it was at night. So anyway, I hope you had an eventful Monday. I know that right now the kids are out of school because it's summer break. I homeschool my kids, so they've been out. And so it's hopefully life has slowed down because you don't have to get up and take the kids to school anymore like you were doing. And now the commute to work, depending on where you live, is probably a little bit better because the traffic is a little bit different. Maybe, because where I am, it's traffic everywhere. It don't matter. Kids in school, kids out of school, it's traffic everywhere. Anyway, let's jump into this Mindful Monday. So I wanted to start off with a quote that it resonated with me, and I'm going to print it out and put it somewhere in my room. But it says, eat like you love yourself. Move like you value yourself. Speak like you respect yourself. And live like you care for yourself. That's your Monday night quote for the week. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Eat like you love yourself, Sarita. Move like you value yourself. Speak like you respect yourself. And live like you care for yourself. I saw that and I was like, you know what? That's for me. And since it's for me, I'm not stingy. So I'm going to share that word with other people. But I posted today on my Instagram and my Facebook, don't let stress you out. Control the controllables. And many of you know that I had locks in my hair. So I'm a loctician and I got my hair locked back in May of 2024. May 19th to be exact. I did a whole Instagram video about it, how I was so excited to go meet my loctician. I had been following her forever, and we ended up we're good friends now, like sister friends now, and my locks were flourishing, and then they weren't. Okay, so as long as I was a client, let her tell it, I stayed on my schedule. As soon as I became a loctician slash friend, my schedule was busy. I didn't take the time to get my hair retightened like I should have because I was just so busy. So I was missing my appointments. But besides all that, I started having some stressors in my life. So I've told this story on Instagram, but I stopped working. I quit my job back in August of 2024 because I believe with all of my heart that God told me to leave. And so I left my job. And so it has been, let's see, 10 months. It'll be 10 months at the end of the month since I walked away from my job. I had to count because I can't remember. Since I walked away from my job, and God has sustained us, and my kids have not missed a beat. Do you hear me? They have not missed not one thing since I left work. Well, I started homeschooling them as well. And before I started homeschooling them, when I was at work, I would sit down, I wrote everything down, like the material that I was going to source for them. I went through the books I already had at home for them. I wrote down the whole year-round schedule, everything. I wrote everything down. What I did not factor in was my business picking up. So, like I said, I'm a loctician. So when I stopped working my job in August, I immediately went into mentorship with my loctician, and so I worked for hours, days and nights, for hours, building my clientele, learning, sitting up under her, learning everything I could possibly learn, asking all the questions I could possibly ask. And in the midst of all of that, trying to homeschool the kids. And then my older daughter was helping me homeschool them, and they were doing online classes and all these things. And then we created packets for them so they could have work to do and all that. And I was actually working at my loctician's house. because she has a salon in her house. So we were doing that and doing that. Well, it got to the point where I couldn't do it. I had to come home so I could focus more on being a little bit more hands-on with homeschooling the kids, and then also transitioning my clients to my house as well. So in the midst of all of that transition, we get home, things are a little bit better because I'm at home now. I can focus more on homeschooling them, and all of that was working. And then my clientele went like boom. It literally was like this overnight thing where my clientele picked up, and I couldn't focus like I was doing with the kids before. And so they may log on and do something, or they may have a few worksheets to do, but it wasn't like it was where I had an opportunity to actually sit down and go through things with them. And so I started stressing out, and I started having all kind of negative thoughts going on in my mind. Like, why would you even think you could do this anyway? Who do you think you are? All these negative thoughts going in my mind. You should have never done it. I was feeling bad for days and weeks. I felt so bad. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Why didn't I just put them back in school? Why did I even try? Everything that you could think of, I was thinking that. So as a result of the stress that I had, and also me, when my lactician and I discussed my hair issues that I began to have, we came down to the conclusion that it wasn't just because I was missing my retightening sessions, because you're supposed to go between 4 to 6 weeks to get your hair retightened. Mine was longer than that, I must admit. However, it wasn't just because I was missing my retightening appointments that my hair came out in the top. The last time I sat in her chair was in April. And I told her before that, I said, listen, I don't think you're going to be able to fix this. I really think I'm going to have to cut my hair. And she's like, no, I can fix it. Don't cut it. So I washed my hair, went over there, sat in the chair. She started doing it. She got up here to the top of my head, and she was like, I didn't know it was this bad. She said, I can't fix it. I didn't know it was this bad. And so she was like, what's going on? And so let me tell you the importance of having somebody in your head that knows you, that cares, and will sit down and walk with you through whatever you're going through. This is my lactician. She's also my friend, also like my sister. Also, I'm not going to say like, she's my sister, basically. So she was like, what's going on? She said, when was the last time this happened? And I said, the last time my hair came out up here in the top is when I was going through in my marriage, like going through I don't think we were separated yet, but whatever the case may be, I know my hair came out in the top before. And so she was like, is it money? I was like, no, it's not money. She was like, well, it's not marriage because you're not married no more. She was like, I said, you know what? It's the kids. And she said, you think it's the kids? I said, yeah, it's the kids. And I started explaining to her everything, and I just started crying. And she was like, everything's going to be all right. Like, she understood where I was coming from because she's homeschooled her kids before. She also has 4 kids, so she totally gets it. She's also an entrepreneur, so she totally gets it. So she encouraged me. We hugged, and I was like, I don't want to cry right now. She was like, it's okay. But we hugged. She encouraged me. She strengthened me. And she was just like, it's okay. Just, trim your hair up, go on your journey or whatever. And then whenever your hair gets to the length you want it, we'll just get your locks again. And I'm like, okay. So this is why my hair has been different. So if you've seen me in different pictures, it's because I cut my locks out. I had no choice. But when I cut them out, I did have a moment. And I was like, wow. I did. I researched and stalked my lactician for years. You hear me? Years. On her page, looking at her work, she does amazing work. Amazing work. And so to finally get them and then to lose them, I felt some type of way. But it was a lesson in that. I had to learn to, for one, be grateful that I even tried to homeschool my kids. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful that I was in a position to be able to do it. I had the experience. So I can't even be mad about it. That's number one. Number two, give myself some grace because this was my first time doing it. It wasn't going to be perfect. And I've watched so many YouTube videos of parents talking about how they homeschool their kids or unschool them, and it took time to kind of get in the rhythm of everything. This was their very first year being homeschooled. All of this has to do with mindfulness. So I'm not just yapping. Just in case somebody's like, well, what does this have to do? It has everything to do with being mindful. So I had to, first of all, gratitude. God, thank you for the opportunity to even be able to homeschool my kids, number one. Number two, to give yourself some grace. This is the first time you've ever done this, homeschooling your children. It's not the first time you've been an entrepreneur, but this is the first time that you've homeschooled your children. This is the second time that you've been an entrepreneur, but you had two small kids the first time. Now you got four. Well, my two older, they're adults, but still, life is a little bit different now. So I had to look at it from a positive perspective. And then once I started like changing up my look and, trying out different styles, I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. So I don't know exactly when I'll get my locks back. I'm kind of enjoying, being able to be versatile with the different hairstyles and stuff. So I'm going to do that. So me being mindful is being present in the moment, not stuffing my feelings. When she asked me what was really wrong, and I could have been like, girl, nothing, I'm okay. But she knows me well enough to know that I would never say that and that I am very forthcoming and I'm going to tell the truth. But sometimes we stuff our feelings because we don't want to deal with it. That's not being mindful. To be mindful means to be present in the moment without judgment. True mindfulness is letting go of judgment and simply observing life as it is. So when you sitting in a place of being mindful, you're like, okay, how does my body feel right now? Okay, what thoughts am I having right now? Okay, when I think about this, it makes me feel like this. It's really paying attention to what's going on in your body, what's going on in your mind. How is your body reacting when, people getting on your nerves? In my last podcast, I talked about how in 2019, the Holy Spirit told me that I needed emotional healing. And it was so crazy, y'all. After I went through my whole testimony, so many thoughts started coming back. Memories started coming back of everything that happened because it was way more than the little bit that I told y'all. But in addition to him telling me I needed emotional healing, I started going on this journey of, I guess it was mindfulness at the time, because I had to identify my triggers. And one thing I had to write down, literally, he was walking me through. He said, you need to write down, I feel frustrated when, I feel rejected when, I feel abandoned when, I run away when. And so I had to identify all of that stuff. This was before I ever even went to therapy. This was in 2019. I hadn't even seen a therapist. I didn't start going to therapy until 2022, 2023, something like that. That's when I first started going to therapy. So in 2019, Holy Spirit was walking me through this process of identifying my triggers. All of it has to do with being mindful. Here's another quote. Today I choose calm over chaos, flow over frustration, peace over perfection, faith over fear, heart over hustle, and alignment above all else. So we really have to get into a place where we don't live in our heads. And I have more stories to tell y'all. Listen, I'm only 44, but I've been through a lot. And I used to live inside my head because to me, that was the safest place to be, inside my head. Here's another quote. It says, your mindset shapes your reality. Choose thoughts that empower you. The Bible talks about, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We are what we think because we will eventually project. I remember telling somebody, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you think negatively about yourself in certain areas of your life, it's going to show up in other places. So just because you think negative at home about yourself, don't think that that's not going to also overflow when you get to work, or also overflow when you get around other people. Sometimes it shows up in other places. Oftentimes it does. So here are a few mindful habits to reduce stress. So, number one, start your day with gratitude. I used to have, I don't even have them on my desk, but I used to have little sticky notes like this size, and I would write on them, and I would put them inside of I had this little jar, and I would put them in my drawer. I'm going to get back into doing that. I typically journal, or I'll wake up and say, what I'm thankful for, or I'll say a scripture when I wake up. But I think I'm going to start, as of tomorrow, I'm going to start writing it down. Number two, practice deep breathing exercises. My therapist that I had last year, whenever we would come into session, sometimes she would have us do like 3 deep breaths, and breathe out to just kind of relax us and calm us down. And it does help. Keep a journal to process your thoughts. That's number 3. Now, I have met people that they're not big journalers. I have journaled. I can't even remember when I started journaling, but I've been journaling for a long time. And sometimes if you're not a person that journals, or if you're not a writer, you can Google like journaling prompts. But I did write some down for mindfulness. The first one says, what thoughts or distractions often pull me away from the present? That's identifying a trigger. It's making you be present in the moment. What thoughts or distractions often pull me away from the present? The second one is, how do I react to stress? And how can I respond differently? And I guarantee you, when you start writing, if you're not a journaler, or if maybe you just haven't had time to do it, if you just start getting that out, journaling it out. I don't know if I've said this before, but I have a voice recorder on my phone. I will pick up my voice recorder and say, I need to get this out of my head. And I will dump it on my voice recorder. If I can't write it down, I'm recording a voice note to get it out of my head, because it's too much going on. We have too many windows open up here. It's too much going on, too many thoughts. So we need to figure out what we need to do to gain some balance. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope that your Monday was great. I hope that your Tuesday is better. But I know that on Mondays, it's like, oh, it's Monday. I got to go to work. Oh, it's Monday. Where did the weekend go? So that's why I like to do Mindful Mondays at night, just to give us an opportunity to reflect on our day, how it went. What conversations did we have? Were they good? Were they bad? How did you feel about it? I think it's important that at the end of the day, we examine what did we do today? I literally the other day just wrote down what I did today. Instead of starting like a to-do list, I did the opposite. And my page was full, and I was proud of myself. I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You got stuff done today. So I just want to tell you that I want you to have a good Tuesday. I'll see you back here on Wednesday for Walk Free Wednesdays. I don't even know what we're going to be talking about, but it's okay. There's always something to talk about. I love you. There's not a thing you can do about it. Have a good evening.